Well,
Yes.
given that, you know, there's a certain level, and I think you just alluded to it, all of you, is about building up confidence, that kind of confident woman.
Yeah.
And not having to feel skittish over matters of not just money, but, you know, discipline or, you know, marriage and so forth. Now, with that, though, something comes to mind, and we can live kind of, sometimes I get myopic in my own life. You know, I just kind of, you know, I go to work, I come home, and that's all that exists. And so there is a certain opportunity to really strengthen my community, and you know, we've given back in many different ways of where I live, and not, and I'm talking beyond my church community. I'm talking my community, my community here at Thriving, or my community at church where I share fellowship, or my neighborhood, my physical neighborhood. They have a potluck, you know, play frisbee again. Go figure, you know. So there's this local and global opportunity, I believe, that WomanWise brings to the churches when we go, of about being able to share time, treasure, talent. You know, talk to me a little bit about why today. Why do you think today people have a yearning? They may not know the avenues and those types of things of how to give their time, treasure, or talent, but I do believe there's something that's shifting for people. That they want to go beyond their neighborhood. Yeah, you know, you got Tom's Shoes going, right? Tom, you know, buy one, send one over to Africa. We got clean water. We got, you know, Hope for Haiti. We got World Vision. We have Not for Sale. We have global organizations where, I mean, literally, I mean, I reach out into my mailbox and I'm in Tanzania, you know, because I'm talking to my little one over there. So what do you think our role is in that? I mean, not beyond WomanWise, but I mean our four here. That's all that we got at the table right now, to really give to a local and to a global.
Well, I think women want to leave a legacy. You know, you want to. So much of what I have invested my life in is I mean, could go up in smoke, just like that. You know, like all during those years that I was imprisoned by fear, thinking people judged me by, you know, how clean my house was or whatever. I, you know, cleaned and cleaned and cleaned my house, and where, you know, what difference did those years make? My children didn't appreciate it, you know, not at all. And so I think, you know, part of the freedom in Christ that God is giving me is learning to invest in things that last. Like, what can you take with you? You can take
kingdom work.
You can take relationships and soul work and encourage people toward Christ and point people to Jesus, and that's the sort of thing that you can take with you.
Yes.
You know, I think, wow, if I encourage anybody who is thinking about reaching across the borders to do anything, I think a lot of women, because it's so far away, it's unreachable, but these days with the internet, it's so accessible, and with us taking World Vision, like you say, you go to your mailbox. For my husband and I, we get Kona, the little girl that we sponsor in South Africa. It's a beautiful thing. But I do think it is very important, though, that instead of like, your house should be clean, it's a wonderful thing, but to have kingdom work as a whole in mind, so that the day you close your eyes and you leave the earth, and you stand before the Father, He can say, well done.
Well done.
I'm pleased with you.
I also think it can be overwhelming for people these days, though.
Yes.
I think, you know, I think there's so many needs now that we are aware of globally because of the internet. I think in my experience, you know, you need to find maybe one or two that you're really passionate about, instead of thinking, well, oh, you know, there's just so much. How do I choose, or how can I make a difference? But you can, you know, if you maybe focus on what it is that really, you know, resonates with you and your heart, and then find one or two causes that you know you really will make a difference.
So if you ask yourself, for instance, if you ask yourself, what is your holy discontent in this world? If your holy discontent is
good words.
Hunger, or if it is feeding kids or clothing, or if it's building wells in Africa, or if it's World Vision, or rescuing girls from sex, or if it's abuse. What is your holy discontent? And if you know what your holy discontent is, then let that be your focus. Like what you said, hone in on that, let that be your focus. Because we cannot do all. It's impossible to do all for us.
No, and I do think, though, that when we do it, you know, some of the work is coming back to your neighborhood and making sure that we do the simple things.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I was reading an article that children that live in impoverished settings here in the U.S. don't know how to play board games. They don't know how to play games. So you could actually just volunteer, go out to the high school and teach a little one how to play Yahtzee.
Wow.
Right. Okay, so it's not always such
No.
big work,
thing.
and it's still kingdom work. So it's
Yeah.
like that. So it's like, I want to, my intention is with WomanWise and going out with gestures of generosity, is this doesn't have to be, you know, always, forgive me, you know, big stuff.
No.
Yeah.
But it is big stuff.
It is
But
big
it's,
stuff.
you know, it doesn't have to be so complicated. It's simple. Wednesdays, or you know, go to the church and teach a teach a class.
Well, you know what a friend of mine does in Toronto? One night a week after work, she goes to this area. It's an impoverished neighborhood, and they started up this group, and now they've got like a waiting list, and it's with boys, junior high boys, and they do readers theater. So she finds these wonderful scripts, and they're kids who have trouble reading, but they turn it into
a
theater.
theatrical.
And I mean, these guys, they show up, they're never late, and
It's
so
life-changing.
yeah, it's
love it.
life-changing. And
Yeah.
this is she just does this from the heart.
Yes.
And I mean, she loves Jesus, but she's not sharing the gospel message, but she's giving to her community in such a huge way. I just love that.
Yeah, but when you give for the greater good, and you give from your passion, and it expands love, then that is God's work.
Yeah.
Yes,
You know, and
because
it's
you
meeting
show
people
Jesus
where
That
they're
is
at.
kingdom